Hey everyone, yesterday I got a comment from one of my subscribers asking if there was any dangers to drinking unflavored seltzer water, and I replied to him that there is a little bit of a misconception. There seems to be a misconception about the acids in sodas and how they destroy your teeth, and some people think that it's the seltzer water. In chemistry, we call it carbonic acid. It turns out the leading brands of soda have a much stronger acid called phosphoric acid. To give you an idea, of phosphoric acid, I believe, can be used to make hydrochloric acid by reacting it with salt. And definitely something you don't want to have contact your teeth. I wouldn't be too worried about carbonic acid. Anyways, I'm going on another fast. Right now I'm recording this at about 10:30 on August 5th. I'm going on another fast today because it's a big anniversary for me, and it's an anniversary relating to fasting itself. See, 2 years ago, well, I have battled eating disorders throughout my life. When I was a kid, I had a problem with soda. And then as an adult, I had compulsively eating healthy foods problem, believe it or not. I know those two words normally don't go together. But I would be in the middle of any sort of event where it wouldn't be completely appropriate to be eating, and I couldn't control myself. I would be in a conference or with my family or even on a first date, and I would just be munching away at chocolate to the point that I looked very badly. Especially, I'm recording this on August 5th. It's summertime where I live, very hot. Today it almost hit triple digits. And to give you an idea of how badly addicted I used to be to chocolate, I would keep it in my pocket, it would be in my car, and it would melt in my car. I recently had an opportunity to move everything out of my car into my apartment, and then I went to clean up my car, and it was gross. I was thinking about as I was cleaning the car. I was thinking about this. I was reading this blog one time, and the guy on the blog claimed that chocolate ought to be worth more than gold. And I was thinking that if one day when that's true, my car, it would the chocolate in there would be worth much more than the car, right? And I could, I wouldn't have to pay somebody to clean it for me, right? They would clean it and they would just take the chocolate for themselves, right? And it was that disgusting. I used to have all sorts of. I would have difficulty going to places where I wasn't allowed to bring food, right? I rarely went to the movies. I'm trying to think what are the last few movies I went to the movie theater to see. I went to see Toy Story 4, but that was after I had corrected some of my eating problems. I used to be a big fan of Kelly Clarkson. I went to see her movie from Justin to Kelly. What else did I go see? Not that many movies in between those two, believe it or not, and there were a good number of years between those two movies. That's how badly I was addicted to having access to my food. And I used to I used to have a big fear of flying. I was 14 years old when 9/11 happened. I was 15 years old when Space Shuttle Columbia blew up, and I didn't want to ever fly again. And I told my parents that. And my mom told me that you're going to have to fly 3 more times in your lifetime, at least. And I said, well, why 3? And at the time, 3 of my grandparents were alive and they lived in Taiwan. And my mom said, don't you think it's your obligation to go see your grandparents when they are ill, or better yet, to go to their funerals when they're gone? And that scared the crap out of me, not just because of the flying, but because I didn't want to think my grandparents could ever pass away. And it was around that time that I started eating healthier. So I thought maybe I was when I first started eating healthier when I was 16 years old. I felt invincible. I felt like as long as I never drank another soda, I could never die. That's literally how I felt at the beginning of the healthy eating, because it was this new discovery. It's kind of like if you discover if you make a big discovery in computers, right? If you write a computer program and it all of a sudden it does amazing things, right? Or you make a discovery in chemistry, right? You discover that phosphoric acid can dissolve your teeth, and what else can it do, right? Or I love to make homemade batteries. I'm still working on designing a rechargeable battery that can last forever. I love electrochemistry for some reason. I got fascinated with it as a kid because I was making a chlorine gas, and I had filled the front door of our the front porch of our home with chlorine, and I had to go to the basement to unplug the circuit breaker. Ever since that, electrolysis is one of my at the beginning of the COVID-19 quarantine, when we couldn't find chlorine bleach, I actually made some myself, so that came in handy. But it's when I was 16 and I discovered it was so easy to not drink soda, it felt like I had discovered the world. If I never drink soda, I could live forever. And I thought the same with my grandparents. So I was in denial that they would ever die. Anyways, I traded my my soda habit for an overeating habit, because part of the way I got off of the junk food was I made sure I always had a full stomach, so I would never be in a hungry situation where I was not. Anyways, back to the video. So I traded my junk food habit for an overeating problem, because I wanted to make sure I was never hungry and I could always make better judgment on what to eat next. And I was 16 years old at the time, and I told myself, let's get over the junk food and I'll cut back on the food later. Of course, later never came. I went to work on my PhD, and I started working, and I started dating, and at one point I thought about getting married, and of course the cutting back on food took a back burner to all of that, unfortunately, until 2 years ago when I really bottomed out, and I lost my job over my eating disorder. I was at a staff meeting with my boss and the rest of my coworkers, and I couldn't wait to get out of that meeting, and I don't want to say what I said on here, but I said some pretty nasty things about my manager and one of my coworkers. And as soon as I realized how nasty it was, I got lost, and I said even more inappropriate things. And I went back to my desk to get to my food. And as soon as I ate it, I realized that how much trouble I had put myself in just to get to my food. Long story short, I felt embarrassed about it, and I left. I took another. I happened to get another offer at the time, but I left that job in a disgrace. And that was August of 2018, and I still didn't learn as much as I could have at that time, because I had another job lined up. If I didn't have that other job lined up, I might have learned my lesson that time. The following year, I took a trip to Macau for a computer game conference, and when I got there, I couldn't find any of my favorite food. No chocolate, no meat. I love to eat buffalo meat here in the States. What else did I not find? No non-alcoholic beer, which I love to drink. I couldn't find anything that I wanted. It was almost like a COVID-19 quarantine, except it was only me that was quarantined. Speaking of COVID-19, I went to, on my way home, I went to a wet market in China, and the guy made fun of me for wanting to avoid MSG, so I didn't get to eat anything there either. So I got totally lost, and I really ruined the spirit of my vacation. And I came home, and I had a couple of clients I work with had ticked me off because they delayed me into getting to my favorite foods, and I realized this is it. I've bottomed out. So I made a New Year's resolution in 2020 to normalize my relationship with food. Notice that word, right? I didn't say to eat less, or to eat healthier, or to lose weight, or to work on, my cholesterol or my blood sugar or any of that. I got to normalize my relationship with food before any of that could fall into place, right? I liken food to somebody I gotten into a domestic violence situation with, but I have to live with them, right? There's no leaving, right? I definitely don't want to leave the relationship with food because that would mean this, right? Yeah, definitely not doing that. So I have to live with somebody that I had domestic problems with, right? That's how I view the situation with food. Unfortunately, some people have to stay in a relationship for the sake of their children, or maybe for the sake of a business that they own together. That's kind of how I am with food now, right? But I do get to take little vacations from food now and then, just like how I'm starting right now. Hopefully, I'll do a 24-hour fast this time, right? But anyway, 2 years ago today, I bottomed out, and I'm trying to make up for it. Thanks for watching.